The wind screamed through the snow like a living ghost. The sky was black and the land lay buried beneath a white shroud. In a small wooden cabin tucked between the frozen hills, a man sat silently beside a dying fire. In his arms was a newborn baby, fragile, breath shallow, eyes dim with exhaustion. Despair was carved across his face. His name was Cole Nolan, a widowed rancher who had buried his wife just last fall. Cole's world had ended the day Ella, his beloved, left him while giving birth. Since then, the cabin walls had known only silence and muffled cries. He had named the baby Rose, but now even that name seemed to fade. The milk was gone, the baby's breathing weak, and the blizzard outside howled like a curse from heaven. Cole knelt closer to the fire, feeding it with trembling hands. "For God's sake, just a little longer," he whispered, clutching the baby to his chest, but Rose whimpered faintly, a sound so fragile it froze his heart. Then there came a knock at the door. Cole froze. Out here in the middle of nowhere at midnight, no one knocked. He reached for his rifle, moved cautiously, and unlatched the door. Outside stood a woman, half buried in snow. Her shawl heavy with frost, hair soaked, breath rapid. "I saw smoke from your chimney," she said, shivering. You need help?" Cole stared at her in disbelief. It was Mary Harper, his neighbor from across the valley. A widow herself, living alone since her husband had died last winter. They hadn't spoken in months, but tonight her arrival felt nothing short of a miracle. "Mary in this storm?" Cole asked, stunned. She peered past him into the cabin, her eyes widening as she saw the baby, pale and barely moving. "Oh, Lord, she's starving, isn't she?" Mary whispered, voice trembling. Cole looked down, ashamed. "After Ella passed, I tried, but the milk's gone. She's slipping away." His words broke in his throat. Mary stood still for a moment, thinking, then quietly said, "Let me feed her." Cole's head snapped up. "What? You—" "My own baby died last year," she said softly. "But my body, it began to make milk again. Maybe God saved it for this day." For a heartbeat, the world went still. Only the wind moaned outside and the fire crackled faintly. Mary's face, half lit by the flames, carried both sorrow and grace, a strength Cole hadn't seen in months. He looked at Rose, then at Mary. The pride, the pain, the loneliness. It all broke apart inside him. "If she lives," and he whispered, "I'll thank God till my last breath." Mary stepped forward, gently taking Rose into her arms. Tears shimmered down her cheeks, but a small smile curved her lips. "Pray with me, Cole," she murmured. "This baby will live. If God wills it, this storm won't break us, only it'll bind us." In the glow of the fire, hope flickered for the first time that night. Outside, the snow kept falling, but inside that cabin, a new life began to breathe again. When the first light of dawn touched the snow, warmth returned to the cabin. Cole sat by the fire for the first time in weeks, wearing a quiet peace on his face. Rose lay in his arms, breathing steady, her cheeks flushed pink, a faint smile dancing on her lips. Mary sat nearby on the wooden floor, exhaustion and serenity mingling in her eyes. She had held Rose through the night, ignoring the cold, feeding her, praying with each breath. When morning came, the baby's tiny hand brushed her cheek, as if life itself had returned to her. Cole spoke softly, voice rough with emotion. I don't know how to thank you. If you hadn't come, she—" Mary smiled faintly. "Don't thank me, Cole. Thank God I was only his means." For a while they said nothing. The sun rose higher and the snow outside gleamed like gold dust. Cole brushed the ashes near the fire, his gaze distant. "Ella used to say that every sorrow carries a hidden mercy." Mary's eyes fell. Her heart ached with old pain, memories of Dan Harper, her husband, who had died trying to save cattle from a storm. Since then, she'd built walls around her heart. But now, with Rose's heartbeat against her, those walls were crumbling. Cole hesitated, then said quietly, "Mary, you can stay tonight if you like. The storm isn't done yet." Mary looked toward the window. The snow was still falling softly. After a moment's thought, she nodded. "All right, but let me at least clean up your kitchen." Cole smiled, the first real smile since Ella's death. "Mary, this house is yours too now." Those words echoed in the cabin. Mary thought to herself, maybe God never leaves us alone. It just takes time to see his plan. As the day passed, Cole chopped wood outside while Mary brought warmth back to the cabin. She cleaned, cooked, and sang Rose to sleep. By evening, that lonely house felt holy, alive again. That night, as they sat by the fire, Cole said softly, "I promised Ella I'd never let Rose be alone. But maybe I was the one who couldn't stand alone. You saved us, Mary." Mary looked at the sleeping baby and said gently, "Sometimes God breaks us only to rebuild us stronger. Maybe that's what he's doing with us, Cole." He looked at her, and for the first time since Ella's death, something warm stirred inside him. Not guilt, not grief, just peace. Outside, the snow had stopped. The moonlight spread across the valley. Mary lifted her gaze heavenward and whispered, "Sometimes the most beautiful prayers are answered in the darkest nights." Cole looked from Rose to Mary and murmured, "Maybe you were that prayer, Mary. Maybe God sent you to us." Mary smiled softly. "Or maybe he sent you to me." And in that quiet moment, as the firelight danced around them, the cabin no longer felt like a tomb of grief, but a cradle of new beginnings. Ending message. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe.